Last November, Sony released the latest version of their home video game console, the PlayStation 5. But even after all these months, it's still incredibly hard for gamers to get their hands on one. This is all due to a global chip shortage, which has in turn been caused by the pandemic. Couple that with a high demand for the PS5, and it all starts to make sense why that's the case. Thankfully, we've managed to secure one, and here are our thoughts. The PS5 comes in a massive box, easily the biggest one we've had on the channel so far. It is a fairly simple unboxing experience though. Inside, you'll find some paperwork, a power cable, a USB-C charging cable for the all-new DualSense controller, and the controller itself, which we'll talk about in more detail later in the video. Then we've got an HDMI cable and a stand to position the PS5 either horizontally or vertically. And now, for the main event, this is the PlayStation 5. First impressions? It's huge. It's a bold design, and it looks great, but we're not sure how well it's going to age, and ultimately, we don't think it's as timeless as something like the PS4. There's also more subtle, yet intricate design features, such as the triangles, circles, X's and squares dotted all over the interfaces of the side panels. On the front, we've got the power button, a disk drive and an eject button, which are omitted on the digital edition, as well as a USB-C port and a USB-A port. Moving to the back, there's two more USB-A ports, an Ethernet port, one HDMI port, power input, and a Kensington slot at the other end. The same theme extends to the new DualSense controller, and we find the same texture with the symbols on the back as we saw on the console. The D-pad and triangle, circle, X and square buttons are now transparent, much like those on the PSP, if you remember those. Compared to the DualShock 4 controller, it does feel a tad bit heavier, but noticeably more comfortable and substantial in our opinion. But the differences go way beyond just looks. Firstly, the new controller now uses USB-C for charging, but more importantly, it is now equipped with improved haptics and adaptive triggers. The PS5 comes preloaded with Astro's Playroom, and it's a proper showcase for what the DualSense controller has to offer. There's a distinctive feel to each surface that the player walks on, and the resistance and feedback from the triggers takes the immersion to a whole new level. And even things like implementing the inbuilt microphone to blow things around add a new dimension to the gameplay experience. And speaking of gameplay, the PS5 offers the very definition of next-gen gaming, with games running at 4K, frame rates of up to 120 FPS, ray tracing, and improved particle effects. And from our experience so far, it doesn't seem to even break a sweat. It's silent. And that's in no small part thanks to its size, which helps with airflow. Furthermore, the PS5 sports an upgraded super-fast NVMe SSD, and as a result, load times have been significantly reduced, especially in games that have been optimized for it. We've gotten to a point where it's basically non-existent in some cases. The trade-off of this new solid-state drive, however, is the storage space, or the lack thereof. Although the PS5 is advertised as having 825 gigs of storage, which, given the size of contemporary games, isn't much by today's standards to begin with, we're actually only left with under 700 gigs after the OS is installed. The internal storage will be upgradable at some point with a PlayStation certified SSD, but for now, that's all we're left with. And while you can still play PS4 games directly from an external drive, that is not the case for PS5 games. So you may find yourself having to move games from the internal storage to your external drive and vice versa, as and when required. In all honesty, that's probably the biggest flaw of this console, in our opinion. The standard PlayStation 5 is priced at $500, which is a lot of money for a gaming console. Despite this, we cannot fault the PS5 as a value proposition. From a performance per pound perspective, the PS5 easily trumps any gaming PC. And hey, If you only buy digital copies of games anyway, you can even save yourself $100 and get the digital edition, which isn't equipped with a disc drive, but is otherwise identical to the standard PS5. You've probably gathered from this video that we like the PS5. From the performance to the new DualSense controller, it's a monumental leap forward from the already brilliant PS4 and a pioneering gaming console in this next-gen world. Let us know in the comment section below if you have any questions about the PS5 or if there's any video in particular that you'd like to see. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.